Welcome, folks. Fred Gleek here again with Bill DeWeese doing our VO Weekly podcast. And as always, Bill, my question, how was your week?
It was good, back on the upswing and still doing some work. So I don't have the exact dollar amount, but we're just shy of $4,000 right now for the week.
And again, we're talking on afternoon on Friday.
This is late, yeah, and we still have an hour or so to go today.
Okay.
Anything could happen.
Anything can, and often does.
That's exactly right.
So let's step back to Monday. So tell me about what happened on Monday.
Actually, Monday through Wednesday were very slow from a work standpoint. So I did a lot of auditions this week. But Monday did a couple of projects. I did some software training for a company, and also some training for Synchrony Bank. So those were the only two projects I had on Monday. So we started off very slowly.
Which was, of course, you were kind of concerned and disappointed, I bet.
I was scratching my head and my chin simultaneously. Yeah, it's like, okay, well, and we talked about it last week. Things, when you go through a period of time, if you're not marketing and or auditioning, or really both, you start to see the results of that 3 to 4 weeks later. It seems to come in a month cycle. So, paying the cost for that. And so now I'm putting back in the time and effort. I'll begin to see those results now over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the fact that had we been talking and doing this podcast in the 1 week that you landed the Chevrolet Find New Roads campaign, that would have been a $30,000 week. So
it would have been a huge plus, yeah, because of all the other jobs I did too.
Yeah, so I mean, it is a who knows, and things come in the door, and you just got to put your nose to the grindstone.
Yeah, you can't get too overly emotional about anything, be it good or bad. It's just you just keep plodding along. And then so Tuesday, I had double the projects, or actually no, I had 3 projects. I did some work for Ericsson, the electronics company, technology company. I did a narration for a company in Europe. It's called Walmob. I'm not familiar with the brand.
It's like Walmart knockoff, is that it?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a Chinese knockoff of Walmart.
Mob meets Walmart. They get Walmob.
There you go. But they hire me occasionally to do work for them. And then Hitachi, who is an ongoing client of mine, did some work for them on Tuesday. And I had a really interesting audition, too. And I do a lot of auditions, but this was kind of cool. And I was, I think, in a smaller pool of talent that auditioned for this. But it was a Sherwin-Williams sponsorship on the Discovery Channel. So it was like brought to you by this, it was kind of an action-adventure kind of promo with Sherwin-Williams. So I haven't heard back on that. But it was fun to do one way or the other.
Why was it so fun?
Well, because it was out of the ordinary.
Yep.
When you're doing software training narration all day long, to do something with some adventure and excitement, that was fun.
Yeah. Sounds good. So that was now. When you say you did a lot of auditions, do you have an idea for our listeners?
Yeah.
How many that was?
I did about 60 auditions this week.
Got it. 60. Nice.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of hours doing auditions this week. And
just again to give people who are newbies like me an idea. How long will it be till you hear if any or all of those come through?
Yeah, it usually takes, it's rare that you hear within a day or two. It's happened. Last week, I was hired next day on an audition. But it usually takes a week to 2. I've had, in some cases, months.
Really?
People will contact me. Remember that audition you did 2 months ago? Back in February or March, and I will barely remember, but that happens too. So usually after 2 or 3 weeks, chances of hearing back are pretty slim.
Now, so what you do, though, is you just knock them out and just forget about them and wait for them to contact you, correct?
I truly do. You set it and forget it. You really are. Otherwise, if you get too emotionally invested in any of that, it really affects your work and your ability to function.
Got it. And this is true whether it's direct business or pay to play stuff, right?
Yes, any of that stuff. You do it and then you let it go. You have to, or it will grind you down.
Yeah, but for example, like when I got my equipment marginally working properly, I knocked out 3 or 4 auditions at Voices.com, and so I did that maybe a week ago. The fact that I haven't heard back yet doesn't mean I haven't landed those, correct?
Correct. That's absolutely correct.
Okay, good. Although the fact that they were my first 4 auditions, my chances, I think, are on the low side.
Yeah, well, but and also you tend to be a little more emotionally invested
Sure.
earlier on because it's like those are your first auditions.
Yeah.
It's like,
Although having been in sales position before, and I think this is why it's sort of, if people are listening here, I think you do have to develop the sales mentality of knowing that you just have to knock on a lot of doors and you never know. And it
indeed.
also, it's funny because I think it combines very well with both sales background and poker because poker is just, I mean, it's, you just don't know when you're going to get a great hand and
Hmm.
clean up. And sales, you knock on a lot of doors, but you know that over time, if you start doing a lot of auditions and start playing a lot of hands and doing it right, you will eventually mine some gold, correct?
That's exactly right. It's the old sales funnel. A lot in the top, a little bit out the bottom.
There you go. Okay, so that Wednesday it got a little bit better. So what happened yesterday, Thursday?
Thursday, okay, things started to pick up. I did a nice little medical narration for a company called Verisense. They make a little knee sensor. When you're doing knee replacement surgery,
Uh-huh.
doctors can place this sensor in, and it's like setting the balancing wheels on a car is the analogy. It's
Wow.
like they can measure and see what the load is going to be on your knee on any given the way your knee flexes, so they can more accurately locate the knee replacement for greater long-term success.
Right now, I have a left knee problem. I hope this is not some kind of foreshadowing.
Oh, I hope not. But if you do have to have a replacement, make sure your surgeon uses the Verisense knee sensor.
I will make a note of that. Right?
It looks very cool.
Yeah.
I yeah. Then I did some financial investment training.
Mhm.
Tried to take notes myself on the side. Sometimes, I mean, I do find things interesting. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
really? That's how that works. I did, let's see, reporting and corporate advanced control. Anyhow, another training narration I read. I did some narration for a company called Verdetian Life Sciences. They do agricultural like chemicals that had to do with how to use their chemicals on crops for better yields.
Got it. Something
Um,
you'll probably be putting to use at some point very soon as well.
yes, exactly. Well, here in Illinois, the corn's like this,
Yeah.
and by July it'll be we'll be swimming in it out here. I did some more training for Intel. I do a lot of ongoing work for Intel. And I do ongoing work for National Car. I do their on-hold systems for the airports all over the country.
Yeah.
And then more work for Hitachi. So it was a very busy day.
Good. So Thursday was real good, and then this morning, before we got on and talked, some other things happened as well, as I
Yeah,
imagine.
today's been a very busy day with more to go when we're done. But I did some work for Lowe's. I do a lot of their internal training. And also, as I do on every Friday, I record promos for New Mexico PBS. I've been spending a lot of time today recording driver training for 6 different states: Texas and Ohio and New Jersey and Virginia and Florida, and I can't remember them all, but that's a lot of work.
And so that's coming in through a national organization, I take it?
It's coming in through. There's a company out in California, someplace that creates. They do create online driver training,
Ah.
and I've worked for them for probably 7 years.
And so each of the states is obviously individual because they have their individual rules.
Yes, exactly. So they have kind of a template they use, and then they update it based on the state.
Got it.
So
Okay.
they've sent a lot of work my way. Again, it speaks to the idea of a client having a lot more value than one job, because these guys, as you can imagine, laws change, and there's 50 states. And
Absolutely. Well, you'll have to maybe hook me up because Kayla is going to be starting, my stepdaughter, her driver training this summer. So California is the state that we'll need to get that information from. So maybe we can finagle something there.
Kaylee may very well sit under my tutelage at some point, my vocal tutelage for driver training.
That sounds good. So now the other thing that I wanted to, again, reinforce for all of our regulars and listeners to the podcast here is the fact that once again, this week sounds like you had over 80% of your business repeat clients, correct?
Yeah, over 80%, yes.
So that just means that, you got to go out there and it's very true in any sales job. You establish the client. Once the client's established, you now have, the whole customer service, making sure you take care of them because they keep coming back and back and back, right?
Right. Yeah. Your marketing really, the marketing plan, I mean, it stays the same. You always have to reach out to new companies and do that, but you begin to focus more and more effort on, just like you said, taking care of your current customers and customer service. because you want those customers, you want them to keep coming back. And that's easy. I mean, that's easy money. I mean, the work may be hard, but it's easy money because you don't have to go out and, get a new client. That's work. That's a lot of work.
No doubt. Yeah. So that's again, for everybody, again, I'm in the position of somebody, if you're listening or watching on YouTube here, that I'm in the position of a newbie in this business. And so therefore I'm listening very carefully now, although I not to say I didn't listen as carefully before, but I'm listening more carefully now to this whole concept, which is, yes, we want to get new customers, and it's always great, but once you get customers, you want to be as good at maintaining those as finding new ones, and that's so important, it sounds like, to this process. So again,
makes life easy.
I know you've got a lot more work to do today, but is there anything else we should share with people of note, of interest, that people should take and take a look at?
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I would mention, Fred, is you can never you can never lose heart. And again, you can get so wrapped up in the moment that you lose, get lost. You don't see the forest for the trees, and the trees can change every 5 minutes, and your situation may look dire, and then it may look great, and then so you really have to have perspective, and that's why I really like to look. I think this idea of looking at it a week at a time, a month at a time, gives you perspective to see which direction you're going. But you can never stake too much on any one given thing, or it becomes an emotional roller coaster, and it just becomes too difficult to manage.
Okay, sounds good. So now, again, I'm not going to try and artificially inflate the length of this particular podcast.
Although I'm sure we could talk about all kinds of things if we wanted to.
Exactly. But I know you've got to get back to work as well. So I think we've given people a good roundup of the week. We've given some ideas. And again, folks, this is Fred Gleek along with Bill DeWeese for the VO Weekly Podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Tell your friends, tell your relatives animals as well.